The title is embarrassing. The cover is embarrassing.
This is literally like the dumbest title I've ever heard in my entire life.
This title sounds like one of those Facebook memes where you get your porn star name by using the first letter.
Oh my God, you're right. Hi guys, welcome back. My name is Erin.
I'm Elena.
Today we are starting a new series called Should You Read These...
This is a series where we are going to go in depth on books that you may or may not want to read. We won't give you any spoilers, but we will tell you a plot overview, give you the spice level, the tropes, and some pros and cons for each book.
The setup of this will kind of be like the underhyped romantasy video we did previously.
You will be hearing our opinions on the books, like how we felt about them, how many stars we gave them. But, you know, everybody's different. Everybody's got their own reading taste. That's the librarian in me. All reading is valid.
Very true.
So something that is a con for us might be a pro for you and vice versa. So we hope that this video will give you all the information you need to decide if you should read these books.
And hopefully you'll agree with us on whether or not you should.
Yeah, hopefully you have the right opinion.
The first in the series is going to be, should you read these romantasy books with stupid titles?
We've just noticed there are a lot of romantasy books out there with some pretty bad titles.
And we just want to say up front, obviously, this is just for fun. Please do not be too offended. We're being really hard on some of these titles. We do get that the titles obviously usually make sense for the story. We actually liked a lot of these books.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to acknowledge that some of these titles should not have made it past the editor, you know? Okay, I'm going to start things off with a book I have some strong feelings about, and that is The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. Look, this is everyone's Kindle Unlimited darling, but what is this title?
It's like a tongue twister.
The title makes sense, but it's still stupid. And to be honest, the cover doesn't really do it for me on this book either.
I'm like half and half. Sometimes I like it, and sometimes I look at it and it makes me dizzy.
This title sounds like one of those Facebook memes where you get your porn star name by using the first letter.
Oh my God, you're right.
You know what I mean? They're like, if you were born in June, Serpent. If your favorite color is green, wings of, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, that is so true. I honestly wonder if that's what they did, just like generated a title based on keywords from the book.
Yeah. Now, that being said, I love this book. The entire Crowns of Nyaxia series is fantastic. It's so, so good. And it's on Kindle Unlimited. Like, I do love a free book, you know?
I mean, it's not free, but yeah.
Sure, you have to pay for Kindle Unlimited. Good point. But it feels free.
Very cheap book.
The premise also sounds kind of dumb. Just bear with me. Okay, I'm going to explain my feelings when we get to the pros. But The Serpent and the Wings of Night is about Aurea. She is a human girl who was adopted by a vampire king. So she grows up at court in a world where vampires are the ruling class and humans are oppressed. Obviously, this is a pretty difficult childhood. She's the only human in the vampire court, and she's literally prey to these vampires. So it's a very dangerous and stressful childhood.
They know she's human?
They do know she's human. I mean, they can like smell her, and also she doesn't have fangs and like, you know. You know,
okay. Telltale sign.
She's pretty clearly a human. Yeah. So now she must compete in a Hunger Games style competition. It's like a death tournament situation. And the winner gets to request a favor from a goddess. So she wants to win so she can get magical powers. Not only so she can put herself on more of an even playing field in this vampire world, but there's also some complicated emotions there because she wants to feel worthy of her father's legacy, you know? He's the vampire king.
Yeah.
And she is his heir. She feels like she needs to
prove
ascend.
Herself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be worthy of that title.
All right, what are the main tropes?
Okay, so the main tropes, of course, we have your death tournament.
Love that. Always fun.
Enemies to lovers, and this is the best enemies to lovers that I've ever read. Every romantasy is enemies to lovers, okay?
Yeah.
This is true enemies to lovers.
Is
okay?
it super slow? Like, is it very angsty, slow burning?
It is a slow burn.
Okay.
Okay, we also have fickle gods. I know you like fickle gods.
I do like that. Yeah.
We have training montage,
Okay.
I don't know she wasn't doing karate moves, okay? It was not like a Mr. Miyagi training montage, but there was a training montage. You have vampires and everything that comes with it. And by that I mean sexy blood drinking, of course, you know. Also wings,
Mm-hmm.
wings, that's a trope now, right? Because
I think it is, for sure.
Vampires with wings, okay?
People are into that.
Yeah, this really is not it sounds like a spoiler, but it's not a spoiler. It's told to you right in the beginning. There's a dead ex situation.
Oh.
Think like Throne of Glass, where she's like, it starts
Okay.
out the book and she's all hung up over her ex who is dead.
Yeah. Okay. I did not know that. That's interesting.
Yeah, so those are the tropes.
Okay. Let's do spice level.
Spice level. And to remind our viewers, our spice level rating system, we are considering Fourth Wing a 3 out of 5 chili peppers. 3 out of 5 on the spice scale.
I think, like, if we were being honest with ourselves on our scale, it would be a 4. But we want to keep it more general. And generally speaking, I think it's usually a 3 out of 5. So we're going to stick with that just for continuity.
Yes.
Fourth Wing is a 3 out of 5.
The Serpent and the Wings of Night is also a 3 out of 5. Very comparable spice level to Fourth Wing.
Okay.
And the spice scenes are good. And I'm picky. So picky. Very picky.
You are picky, and I'm very surprised by this. I kind of want to read it just to see what you consider to be a good spice scene.
I thought they were hot. Okay, that leads us right into the pros as I see them. First and foremost, I am obsessed with the male romantic lead, Rain.
Yeah.
I have said in the past that he is my ultimate book boyfriend. I think he is so sexy and funny and sweet. He has a little bit of that, like, soft boy in a hard world type thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That is you, for sure.
But he's still, like, super powerful and confident. He doesn't have to sacrifice those to be, like, the soft boy a little bit. I'm really not into the super stoic man thing, and he is not that. He is funny and warm and, like, sunshiny, but powerful. Another pro is that this book manages to take two tropes that are arguably becoming very tired, Death Tournament and Enemies to Lovers, and she nails it on both of those. The Death Tournament is unique and original and refreshing and feels high stakes and exciting. And the Enemies to Lovers, like I said, it is true enemies to lovers. Okay, and then this is a big one for me. There's a complicated father-daughter relationship that is genuinely complex and only gets more complex as the series continues. You have, like, the villainous father with a soft spot situation, but she really keeps you guessing on this relationship. I spent so much of the book kind of going back and forth in my head, plucking petals off of a mental flower, like, does he love her? Does he love her not? You know?
Interesting.
I kept waiting for one of them to betray the other, and it's intense, but also is secretly, like, really hoping for that happy ending. Like, that relationship was very well done and kept me on the edge of my seat.
Okay.
There are also some really good twists in this book. It will surprise you. Maybe not you. She's annoying and, like, figures out every trope.
Oh.
Like, every twist before it happens. You always figure it out.
Yeah, but that's fun. It's fun to do that.
I mean, if you like that, you will get a kick out of this
You'll have
book.
plenty of material to work with.
Because there are some twists. There are definitely some twists and turns.
All right.
And also, the book is just generally well written. There's good world building. The dialogue is not too cringy. And that's not always true with these romantasy books, you know?
Very true, yeah.
This was really the first book that got me hooked on romantasy and made me understand what the girlies were talking about when it comes to romantasy. I mean, I love this book. We're starting really strong here.
Yeah.
There are some cons, though. There are some cons.
Okay.
First of all, there are some repetitive phrases, you know?
That's like my pet peeve, man.
Yeah, I mean, at least it's not as bad as her bowels turned watery. but
I know. Although I did see a meme where somebody was like, all the girlies with IBS know exactly what that means, so don't be hating on it. And I was like, I mean,
IBS
true,
representation.
Yeah.
Yeah. And definitely by the second book, there are certain phrases that become very repetitive. It's like a catchphrase between them, but it becomes overused.
I see.
I put this in the cons. They curse a lot in this book, especially the F word. There's a lot of F words in this book. And I mean, that's like not a con to me. But I saw it mentioned in a lot of Goodreads reviews.
Interesting, yeah.
A lot of people were like, oh my gosh, I'm not even against cursing, but this was just too much. So if that's going to bother you, there you go. It's got a lot of F-bombs. There is some not like the other girls.
I could see that.
Here. I mean, she's the only human growing up in a vampire world. So you could argue if there was ever time to be not like the other girls.
Yeah.
I mean, she's really not. But it's still a little bit annoying.
Yeah.
And lastly, controversial ending.
Interesting.
Very controversial ending.
Like of the series of just the first book or both? Or is that too much of a spoiler?
I mean, it's really it's both, but especially the first book has a very controversial ending.
Okay.
That does tend to split the fan base.
Okay. All right. That sounds good.
Yeah, so that is The Serpent and the Wings of Night. It's worth all of the hype that it gets, in my opinion.
If you can get past the stupid title.
Yeah, just push past
Honestly, like if it was just Serpent and the Wings of Night, that would do so much for it.
I agree. I think Crowns of Nyaxia is really not bad.
For
Crowns
sure.
of Nyaxia is fine. I wish it was just
Crowns of Nyaxia 1
and 2. It's 100% a 5-star read.
I am going to go ahead and also start with a bang in the opposite direction. So my first book of the day is going to be When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. I feel like I kind of had to convince you at first that this was a stupid title.
You did.
Yeah. But I stand very firm that this is literally like the dumbest title I've ever heard in my entire life. I don't think you should have the word hatch in a title ever. And then to like combine it with When the Moon. I don't know. It's not an egg. I'm on board now. For God's sake. Like,
is it? But like, I guess I was imagining, like, wouldn't it actually be sick if the moon was a giant egg and then like a dragon hatches out of it and it's like, whoa, moon dragon, you know?
Yeah, but I still wouldn't name it my fucking book.
Okay, and does that happen? Is that in the
I mean, that's way too complicated of an answer to give without spoiling. Obviously, there are moons in this book, and they do have to do with dragons.
Okay.
I really am not into this title, okay? Yeah. I think it's dumb. I think there's a lot of other things they could have gone with. I'm being hard on it, but there you go.
So what is this book about?
A woman named Rave. She's an assassin. And the book starts out with her on the job to kill a really bad guy. She winds up crossing paths with a notorious bounty hunter.
Ooh.
Gets captured. Ooh. And essentially starts to have to unravel all of these things that have happened in her past. There are so many reveals in this book that I truly cannot even tell you more than that without spoiling it.
Oh, wow.
I could, but like it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So yeah, she gets captured and then she basically is confronted with all these things and you find out a bunch of things about her past that she's been avoiding. I'll be upfront and tell you that I really hated this book. This was a true hate read. I thought it was overwritten. I thought it was pretentious. I thought it was just like very poorly executed. And I think the most egregious thing about this book is that with most romantasy, I mean, you don't take it so seriously. Like, even if it's like to the death, fun. It's fun. It's whatever. I feel like this author is so trying to be so serious. She thinks she's like Tolkien in this book. She's got a 20-page glossary before you even start it.
A 20-page glossary?
Of like creatures, places, random words that she's decided to change. Like instead of saying night, they say slumber. Not necessary. She's also got like a history chapter so you can understand the history before you go to the book. But anyway, I'll get into that in a second. I was really not a fan of this book. But that being said, I'm going to try to give you all the information.
Yeah, I mean, you might like it.
Yeah, but if you're going to go with our opinion, don't pick this up. It's
If you pick this up and it's bad, don't blame us.
Okay, so I'll go through the tropes. There are a lot because this is a long book and she was writing the next Lord of the Rings. So she really wanted to make sure that she got it all in there. We've got dragons,
Ooh.
magical creatures, a very unique magic system. If you have never heard of Avatar,
Okay.
it's fire, wind, rain. Immersive world building. Technically, this is multiple POV. It's very sporadic, but it is technically multiple POV. Forbidden love / star-crossed lovers.
Ooh.
A really strong FMC, aka Selena Sardothian, because this is
because assassin.
This is a complete ripoff of Throne of Glass. I forgot to mention that, but if you've read Throne of Glass, you've basically read this book.
Oh yeah, you said that in your Goodreads review, and I was cracking up.
She literally took the entire. It's
You were like
shocking.
not good the second time.
It's Selena 2.0. Who did this to you? One horse, but make it dragon. Amnesia.
Oh, I hate that trope.
I can't even go into that too much.
Yeah,
And lastly, he falls first, which is always I like that.
me too.
Yeah. Okay, the spice on this, I've written 3 out of 5. It's on Fourth Wing level.
I mean, like, just to be clear, in my mind, when I'm saying it's on a level with Fourth Wing, I'm thinking there's like 2 detailed sex scenes, implied other sex scenes, and nothing like too kinky or fucked up happens.
Yeah.
Okay. Because like a 5-star is like wild shit is going down.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
4-star is like there's more spice than plot. You know what I mean?
I would agree. Yeah.
Okay.
This is a 3.
Just making sure
We're on the same
here.
page for sure. Okay, now I'm going to go into the prose of this book.
Oh my god. The
first
first bullet point. I just caught the first bullet point.
The first pro is that Throne of Glass is pretty good. Unfortunately, this is a different book, so that was a little confusing to see so many similarities. The second pro, again, is the multiple POV. The main character is pretty insufferable. She has really got Selena syndrome. She thinks that she is just the shit. She just wants to bash some heads all the time. She is like over the top, and being in her POV the whole book, the whole 720 page book, would have literally been
720 pages.
torture. She literally is doing Throne of Glass, but just in one book instead of 7. So having these other POVs was a blessing because you just got out of her head for a second. That being said, though, they were very sporadically put in. It felt like jarring almost to have a random chapter by a random character. So I don't necessarily think it helped with the flow, but it was a breath of fresh air, so I can't really blame her for doing that. The dragons are interesting. Lena loves a good dragon, and this definitely has it. The dragons are a focal point of the story. There's different species.
Do the dragons talk?
They do have a connection with their rider,
Yeah.
and they're bonded with a rider. And then lastly, a pro is that it is a very immersive world.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a detailed fantasy world.
It's very detailed, and I wouldn't say the world building is amazing by any means, but she's definitely like got you in there when you're reading it. You're really immersed. And then we'll switch over to the cons, which I'll also try to keep brief, but it's very difficult. The thing that I hated most was that I usually don't mind the sort of insta-love type situation, but this was definitely the exception. I don't think she even meant it that way, which was probably the worst part of it. But the FMC and the MMC, or whatever we're calling them, essentially fall in love off screen or like off page. So the entirety of their sort of meeting and courtship, and there's no angst because like you're kind of dumped in, or you see random snippets of them falling in love, but you don't get to know them as a couple. You never really see them grow as a relationship.
Why would she do that?
So, I mean, it gives too much away to say a lot about it, but they're essentially meeting back up. So you're seeing them like meeting back up, but you don't care about them because you never saw them together. You never saw them fall in love. To you, it's just very like instant, like they met and then they were deeply in love. And, you know, she was just trying to tackle too much in one book, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It also sort of jumps around in time, which again, I understand why she did that, but it isn't fleshed out enough to carry the present storyline. I didn't really like how she flipped back and forth. I think she should have done that a lot more up front. Also, it was just way too long. It was 720 pages. I read this on Kindle Unlimited, but I did see it in Target a couple days ago, and it was actually very shocking to see how big the physical copy
really
was.
Chonky.
I'm gonna put it up here for a second because, it was ginormous. It really, really could have been pared down.
Justify your book being over 500 pages,
especially the first in a series.
Yeah.
Okay, and then another con, and this is serious, guys. She has this 20-page glossary, but it doesn't include all of the creatures mentioned in the book.
What?
Which I found infuriating. If you're going to give me a glossary, I'm going to use the glossary. So I would flip back to it and it would not be in there.
What on earth? I mean, I'm sorry. That's bad. What is this, amateur hour?
If you're going to give me a glossary, you better put everything in there, man. Are you joking me?
It's 20-page glossary?
For sure.
And you don't have everything in there? Come on.
Now, if somebody is going to comment below and say, maybe that was just your version or your Kindle Unlimited edition, then I really hope that's the case. And then lastly, I just thought that the writing was pretentious, and I thought it was overly graphic, overly descriptive. There were so many scenes where it would be like he was so in love that it ripped through his heart, through the sinew and the blood and the bone, out to the other side. And by the 100th time you've read something like that, I mean, it's just nauseating, okay? We get it. You don't really need to be that descriptive and that graphic. I mean, gross. I think she was really just overplayed that, and it would have probably saved you 300 pages. The writing was just not my style. Those are the cons of When the Moon Hatched. Immediately when I saw the glossary, I had bad vibes from it, and I thought, well, you need to give it a shot. Don't be lazy, basically. But I wish I had just been lazy, honestly. This was legitimately a 1-star read for me. Truly, just go read Throne of Glass.
All right, my next book is A Deal with the Elf King by Elise Kova. This is the type of book that makes you change your Kindle settings so that the cover is not displayed.
Yeah, for sure.
Because this cover is embarrassing. The title is embarrassing. The cover is embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
I can't believe I got you to read this book, honestly.
Yeah, when she suggested it, I was like,
do I have to? A Deal with the Elf King? No.
And the title, he doesn't look hot at all. He looks
weird.
I
mean, some people are into that.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I truly think that this is the worst title of the day. I think.
Yeah, this is pretty bad. This is like a tragedy type name for the book world. Do you know what I mean? So in this book, there was a terrible war between the elves and the humans long, long ago that was only resolved with a peace pact that states with a peace treaty.
Peace pact.
They call it a pact.
Oh God.
Yeah. The agreement is made that one human woman will marry the elf king every 100 years.
Okay.
And it can't just be any human woman. It has to be there's only one human woman with magical powers, and that one is literally referred to as the human queen. Capital H, capital Q.
Okay.
And the human queen is always born in this small coastal town that borders on the elf lands, the magical lands. There's not just elves in this book. There's all kinds of guys. So you'll be shocked to hear that our main character, Luella, turns out to be the human queen. She's forced to go marry the elf king for this 100-year period. So she has to leave behind her town and her family and her healer's shop and give up everything that she knows and loves to live in this magical kingdom and use her magic for the good of the elf people and be married to the elf king.
Okay.
How many times can I say, you must marry the elf king?
A Deal with the Elf King.
Yup.
All right, what are the tropes?
Okay, tropes. This is a Hades and Persephone retelling.
Okay,
situation.
I did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Mm-hmm. Some people also say Beauty and the Beast. I see the Beauty and the Beast, but I think it's stronger in the Hades and Persephone alignment.
Okay.
Obviously, we have arranged marriage. We do have one bed.
Shocking.
They do call this enemies to lovers. Secret powers. Her secret powers. I mean, it's not really a secret, but secret powers. And animal companion.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Interesting.
We have an animal companion. I'll talk about that in the prose.
Okay.
Spice level, shockingly, 1.5.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You would have never guessed that from the cover.
Never.
Why did they do that then?
And that's the main reason I didn't read it, because I was like, oh, this is going to be one of those books that is more spice than plot.
For sure.
And that's just not my personal jam.
Yeah.
So I thought I was going to hate this book because I thought it was just going to be graphic, detailed spice scenes.
Mm-hmm.
No. I mean, it was truly 1.5.
Interesting.
Like, it's not closed door. It's not totally fade to black, but it's very light.
Okay.
So, yeah, I wasn't expecting that at all. Okay, pros. I actually thought the world building was pretty good. Like, the world was very fleshed out. It made sense. It was detailed. You had different factions, the elves, the fairies, the vampires. Everybody made sense. I knew where everyone was in the world. You had sort of an in-between world connecting the magical world to the natural world, aka human world,
okay.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
And everything was very well laid out. I felt like the details were given to me in a good pace. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It wasn't info dumped
Yes.
in one conversation all at the beginning. It was sort of sprinkled throughout. And there were really cute details like clothing and food. I always appreciate that sort of thing.
Yeah.
There's like festivals and customs. I understood what time of year it was. There are even drugs that elves take. And like there was like a addiction subplot, like a drug addict subplot.
Interesting.
Which I was like, that's kind of unique. You don't see that very often in fantasy.
Yeah.
Might be a trigger warning for some people though, now that I think about it.
Okay.
But I thought it was done well. Also, I know it's cheesy for the main character to get a wolf companion who is essentially just like a big old puppy.
I don't mind that.
But I love it!
Yeah.
My enjoyment of this book like doubled when the wolf showed up.
Yeah. It's very Robin Hobb-esque.
Yeah, I was like, yay, our our wolf that's loyal to only us and is like perfectly trained as soon as you meet them. You know,
of course.
What I mean? Like, I love that. So the animal companion, definite pro. And I'm into the healer thing. She made a lot of potions and she called them potions, which just gives you flashbacks to being a kid and like making potions in your backyard, like in the woods behind your house, and you're like stripping bark off a tree and you're like, take this potion.
Okay. Specific.
Yeah. Now for the cons.
Oh, that's all. Okay.
Yeah, that's all we got. Honestly, the storyline in this book is just basic. Like, it is so basic. Okay? You're not getting anything really fresh or new or special in this book. If you have read romantasy before, you've read this book.
That could be a pro for you.
That,
you like a unique, you want something different. I do
want something unique.
But yeah.
This could make a good palate cleanser. God. I could see it being used like between a grim dark fantasy and like a super epic high fantasy situation. Maybe you just need like a little
deal with the Elf King.
This book would be good for that.
Okay.
The characters are very weak. You know how sometimes in a book with weak plot or a plot that really doesn't make sense, has a lot of plot holes, but the characters are so real and lovable or hateable.
Yeah.
Just evoke strong feelings in you. Like, that can save a book.
Yeah.
This book just does not have that. Every character is very, very shallow. The next con is the love interest.
The Elf King
himself. Oh my God. He made no sense at all. At all. The first time she sees him, she's like, whoa, he's like an alien. He has blue skin and pointed ears and long black hair. And she described him as looking like an alien, like terrifying and different. That is never ever mentioned ever again. The whole rest of the book, he
just seems normal.
He just seems like a human, you know?
Weird.
We're told he's terrifying, but he never actually does anything terrifying or powerful. One minute he's all like cold and brooding. He literally refers to himself as the Ice King, okay? And then literally he makes like a 180 and halfway through the book, and suddenly he's like wearing an apron and cooking eggs and bacon for her in the morning.
She changed him.
Didn't make sense. Also, he's described as just like he just seems like an old man. His name is Eldas, which I just kept reading as eldest. And I'm just like, that's a struggle. He's giving old man energy. This man has no sex appeal. Okay, and then back to the plot. The plot is just lackluster. Our main character is like a fiery redhead. She's stubborn and will do anything to protect her people. I'm sure you've never heard of a character like that before. And she spends like chapters and chapters going on and on about making one decision and how this is the right decision and it's protecting her people. And then in the span of a paragraph, she'll be like, never mind, this is the right thing to do now, and just totally switch it up. I'm just like, what about your people? The book presents you with this 3,000-year-old mystery, and then the solution turns out to be like wildly anticlimactic. Like,
interesting. Okay.
The plot is just so weak. And then you're not even given a bunch of spice to make up for it. So like, what even was the point of this? Overall, a quick and easy read. Could be good as a palate cleanser, or if you're someone that's really into the Hades and Persephone retellings, you'll probably really like this. I gave it 2 stars. I read the whole thing.
That's
and
still
I liked
pretty
the wolf.
low. You like the wolf. Okay. So 1 star for a wolf.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, fair enough.
If you really like the Hades and Persephone thing, you might enjoy this book more than I did. And I didn't hate it. I gave it 2 stars. I read the whole thing.
That's
and
still
I liked
pretty
the wolf.
low. You like the wolf. Okay. So 1 star for a wolf.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, fair enough. All right. So the last book we're going to be talking about today, and it pains me to say this, is A Dawn of Onyx by Kate Golden. Unfortunately, this book has one of our cardinal pet peeves, which is starting a title with an A or the.
Yeah, a blank of blank.
Yeah. It's not that, though. It's just a... You're right, it is that.
It is that.
Oh my gosh.
A blank of blank.
I truly think it would have been better if it was just Dawn of Onyx.
Dawn of Onyx would be better. I agree.
It doesn't roll off the tongue to say A Dawn of Onyx. And also, I know it's silly, but like, Dawn of Onyx is, again, just a weird phrase.
Think about that.
What does that even mean? Of course it makes sense in the book, kind of. But it's a stupid title. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's not my favorite, okay? That being said, I love this book.
Oh, yay. I'm glad we're ending on a
love it.
high note.
Yeah, this is a great series. Definitely check it out. I have less issues about the other titles in the series. A Promise in Peridot. Just because I like... Damn it! A Promise in Peridot. I like the alliteration. And I think the last one is A Reign of Rose or something. I don't know. Still don't like the A, but the alliteration kind of makes up for it a little bit. A Dawn of Onyx, just eh. So this book centers around the FMC. Her name is Arwen. She is a human with these rare magical healing abilities, living in the kingdom of Amber, which is at war with this dark and violent kingdom called Onyx. She kind of gets caught in the crosshairs because her brother is being chased by Onyx soldiers because he stole something, and she ends up offering up herself and her rare magical abilities to the Onyx kingdom in exchange for her family going free.
That is the most oldest daughter coded thing I've ever heard.
For sure. So then she's taken to the kingdom of Onyx, and the bubble of her world is burst. She realizes there's a lot more going on in the world than she thought, and there's a lot more going on with the king of Onyx than she thought.
Ooh.
So it's good. Okay, the tropes in this one are all the usuals. We've got enemies to lovers, very slow burn, perfectly morally gray, love interest.
Ooh.
Love it. Love Cain. Not really into the name Cain, and I really don't like it when they call him King Cain.
No,
It's just
King Cain.
King Cain
Why is
Ravenwood.
it's giving Candy Cane.
Exactly. But that being said, he's the good type of morally gray. I like it.
Okay.
There are dragons, monsters, witches, and fae. Is a really good found family trope. A really good grumpy sunshine trope in the side characters. There's like another little love situation going on. It's a really cute grumpy
That's
sunshine
nice.
trope. Yeah. Who did this to you? And captive in an enemy hold trope. Which makes sense here. She's been captured. The spice in this first book is probably about a 1.5 out of 5.
Okay.
It gets a little higher in the next book, probably like a 2.5, maybe 3, but I would probably stick with the 2.5 in the sequel. So pretty good. I liked the scenes in this. The spicy scenes were good.
I like when it's like that, because if you start off your first book with high spice, there's nowhere to go from there, you know?
I mean, and this is like a real slow burn tension. So she's done it really well. But I agree with you. All the times that the first book is slightly lower, I tend to end up liking the spice in general better, because it's not just thrown at me and then having to like get a bit wild with the scenes by the third book to like just to keep it exciting. Yeah. Let's go to the pros. I loved both the FMC and the love interest, the MMC. I thought they were both really well done, very likable. Arwen as a main character, she is not perfect by any means, but I really understood all of her decisions. I understood all of her trepidations, all her hiccups. Like, it made sense to me. I thought she was really likable and endearing. And I really liked Kane. Like, he was really supportive. He has his issues as well, but I get it. I get why. They were not annoying. And so many romantasy leads are just plain annoying.
Yeah, you'd think that would be a low bar, but it's not a low bar. It is hard to find romantasy books where the main character is not annoying.
Yeah. The first book is just in her point of view. I didn't really put this in the tropes, but like the second is dual POV, and I absolutely love that. I love seeing the guy's point of view. It just like really adds something extra. You can see his thought process, see him looking at her. I mean, gets us out of her head. I absolutely love that she's done the dual POV in the second book, and only in the second book. I also really like the side characters. She kind of adds the grumpy sunshine trope in there as a foil to the main two, because both Arwen and Kane are pretty serious, but these side characters, their little rapport is so cute and it's so refreshing, and I love that she's put that in there. The side characters in this all really make sense, and you feel invested in their happiness as well. Kind of like what you were saying, surprisingly, in the Elf King, I thought that the world building was really good in this. I didn't find that there were any real like info dumps. It all felt sort of sprinkled in, slowly revealed. She learned so much having been in one place all her life in Amber and then going to Onyx. And it makes sense the way that the world opens up, and you're kind of learning it while she is, which works out really well.
That's the best way.
Yeah, like we're all kind of figuring it out together. So I felt like I grasped it much easier than in a lot of romantasy books. I thought it was really well paced, good action scenes. It didn't feel boring to me. And I thought there were really good reveals, like small reveals. I will say this is a very formulaic story. There's nothing in here that's like super groundbreaking. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, in my opinion. But in the same token, there were some really cool reveals. Like, I was screaming at the end of the first book, and not even for the big reveal, but for like a mini reveal at the very end.
Wow,
that I was
that's
like,
so
what?
appealing.
I know. It's really cool. I love how she's done that. It did kind of give like a small twist on what is still a very formulaic storyline. And then lastly, the biggest pro of this is that the sequel is even better than the first book, and I have really high hopes for the third and final in the trilogy. There's nothing you like better than the story to keep getting better and better. And truly, the second book I absolutely loved even more than the first. So yeah, like you're not going to get disappointed. Okay, so there's a couple cons, the biggest of which I can't sadly really get into because it's a spoiler, but suffice to say that there is a trope that comes to light in this book that is kind of like my pet peeve trope that I really don't like.
Oh,
I don't really know if I should even put this in there, but like, just so you know, when you read it, you'll probably figure it out. And it was a con to me personally, just because there's a lot of reasons it makes me roll my eyes. And as I said, it is a little formulaic. I mean, it's very formulaic. You can kind of guess where it's going. And if you can't, then once you get there, you'll be like, okay, I probably should have guessed that this is where this was going. But still love it. It is kind of just like not going to break the mold very much. And those are the only two real cons. I mean, I really, really enjoyed this series.
Yeah, I mean, clearly.
Book. Don't be scared by having to say a dawn of Onyx. Make sure that you know how to say peridot, because I still struggle with the correct pronunciation of that.
And there. It's our birth month stone.
So what color is it?
It's green. It's like a light green.
Okay, that would make sense for the cover. I'm pretty sure I gave it 5 stars on Goodreads. And if I only gave it 4 stars, then the sequel is definitely a 5-star read. So
Nice. Okay, that's awesome. All right, so that wraps up our first Should You Read These video. Hopefully you got a good sense of whether or not you would personally enjoy the books we talked about.
Yeah, let us know in the comments if you think we're totally off base with whether these titles are dumb or not. Remember, this is just for fun.
Yeah.
We're being purposefully a bit
Cheeky.
rude here. Yeah, you know, none of these, apart from maybe a deal with the Elf King, are like absolutely egregious. Although
so true.
the moon hatched thing, I just really struggle with.
Let us know if you're going to pick any of these up or if we've convinced you to take them off of your TBR list in the comments, and like this video if you like this video.
Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We really appreciate it. And until our next video, we will see you later.
See you soon.